The market is deceptive from the very first step. What feels like a victory is often nothing more than bait. A trader opens a position, grabs a small win, and suddenly believes they've uncovered a secret hidden from millions. That first profit isn't a reward. It's sweet poison. It doesn't teach discipline. It teaches arrogance. It doesn't build a method. It builds illusion. And that's the moment the trap closes. Nothing fuels blind confidence more than being right by accident. But luck doesn't repeat itself. When the next trade demands clarity, the trader enters with the memory of success, not the logic of risk. The game rarely begins with a loss. It begins with a false victory, and that's the most dangerous win of all. Most traders don't fail because they lack information. They fail because they can't handle reality when it refuses to bend to their expectations. The market doesn't care about how hard you've studied, how many strategies you've copied, or how confident you feel. It remains brutally indifferent. This indifference is the first lesson most never accept. People want to believe the market is a puzzle to solve, that enough knowledge or clever tools will unlock a hidden order. But the truth is colder. The market is not a puzzle. It's a mirror. It reflects back your discipline, your flaws, and your willingness to face loss without denial. When traders lose, they often blame the setup, the news, or even bad luck. Rarely do they blame themselves, and that's why they repeat the same mistakes again and again. The market punishes this blindness with the only language it knows, the slow erosion of capital. Discipline is invisible at first. It doesn't make headlines, it doesn't excite, it doesn't feed the ego. But without it, every chart, every entry, every tactic collapses under pressure. Knowledge without self-control is dead weight. The brutal truth is this: the market doesn't eliminate you because of one wrong move. It eliminates you because you can't stop making them. Survival doesn't belong to the smartest. It belongs to the most disciplined. The most dangerous moment in a trader's journey is not the first loss. It's the first win. That small early profit disguises randomness as skill and convinces the trader they've cracked the code. What feels like confirmation is actually corruption. Confidence swells faster than understanding. The trader begins to believe they see patterns others don't, that a few successful trades are proof of mastery. They size up too quickly, loosen their stops, and enter the next position with the arrogance of someone who thinks the market owes them consistency. But the market doesn't reward arrogance. It doesn't recognize past success. Each trade begins from zero, judged only by execution in the present moment. And when overconfidence collides with reality, the result is always the same. Capital vanishes faster than it was gained. This trap is so seductive because it feels good to fall into. Early wins inflate the ego, silence doubt, and create a false sense of security. The trader mistakes luck for talent, and once that belief is rooted, it takes a painful loss to uproot it. The beginning is a test disguised as a gift. Most fail it because they misread the signal. They think they've discovered strength when all they've uncovered is vulnerability. Discipline is the quiet edge that separates survivors from casualties. It doesn't shout. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't promise quick profits. That's why so many ignore it. But in the end, it's the only thing keeping a trader alive when the market turns against them. Cutting a loss quickly feels like weakness. Following a plan feels boring. Sticking to rules when your instincts scream otherwise feels unnatural. Yet every professional knows this. The boredom of discipline is cheaper than the chaos of improvisation. Most traders chase excitement. They want the rush of calling tops and bottoms, of catching the perfect entry. But excitement is not a strategy. It's a leak. And every leak eventually drains the account dry. Discipline, by contrast, is unglamorous repetition. It's the courage to be consistent when everyone else is restless. The truth is, discipline is not something you show once. It's not cutting a loss today and then relaxing tomorrow. It's a muscle you build every trade, every session, every test. Without it, knowledge and strategy collapse under the weight of human impulse. Invisible from the outside, discipline is the strongest structure inside. It doesn't make you famous, but it makes you durable. And durability is what the market quietly rewards. Fear, hope, and greed don't announce themselves with alarms. They whisper. They nudge you to hold a little longer, to ignore the stop, to believe the market will reverse just for you. They are subtle, but their damage is massive. Fear freezes the hand when action is needed most. Hope rewrites logic into excuses. Greed inflates small wins into missed opportunities and pushes traders to chase what's already gone. Each emotion has its own disguise, but they share the same mission: to separate you from discipline. I've seen traders destroy months of steady work in minutes because they listened to these voices. Not because they lacked a strategy, but because they trusted feelings over structure. The truth is, you can't erase emotion. You can only contain it. That's what discipline really is. The strength to follow rules even when every instinct screams the opposite. If you've ever felt this battle inside you, you already know how costly it can be, and why hearing these words right now might save you from repeating the same mistake. And if this resonates with you, stay with me. Because what comes next isn't theory. It's the blueprint that separates survival from collapse. Traders love to think the market is what breaks them. But more often, it's the position size in their own hands. Risk is not a storm outside. It's the fire they ignite inside their account by reaching too far, too fast. One oversized trade is all it takes to erase months of progress. The setup might even be valid, but when the position is too heavy, normal volatility feels like disaster. It's not being wrong that kills you. It's being too big when wrong. Managing risk doesn't feel heroic. It feels cautious, even timid. That's why so many skip it. But the traders who last are not the boldest. They are the most precise. They don't prove themselves with big bets. They prove themselves by staying alive long enough to learn. If you've ever felt the panic of watching a trade swing violently against you, you know this truth. Risk management isn't optional. It's the oxygen of trading. Without it, no strategy, no discipline, no knowledge can save you. And if these words strike close to home, don't just nod and move on. Share this message with someone you know is making the same mistake. Sometimes a simple reminder at the right time is what saves a trader from burning out before they've even begun. Without a system, you're not a trader. You're a gambler with good posture. Every decision becomes an impulse. Every chart just another excuse. Improvisation feels exciting, but it bleeds you slowly, one random trade at a time. A system doesn't have to be complex. It just has to be yours. It tells you when to enter, how much to risk, where to place the stop, and when to walk away. It replaces guesswork with clarity, and clarity is the closest thing to safety you'll ever find in this game. I've lived both sides. I've jumped into trades because they looked tempting, and I've walked away from setups that didn't meet my rules. The difference wasn't subtle. It was survival. Instinct can be fooled. Structure cannot. Consistency doesn't come from being right often. It comes from following the same rules every single time, win or lose. That's the discipline most refuse, and that's why they vanish. The market rewards structure because structure keeps you in the game. Traders chase knowledge like it's a shield. More books, more courses, more indicators. They pile it up, believing that volume of information will protect them when the storm hits. But the market doesn't care how much you know. I've seen traders armed with endless theories fall apart the moment price moved against them. Not because the theory was wrong, but because they weren't ready to act without hesitation. Knowledge without control is like carrying weights in deep water. The more you hold, the faster you sink. The illusion is seductive. If I just learn one more strategy, one more setup, one more secret, then I'll be safe. But safety never comes from knowing more. Safety comes from doing less, with precision. The market punishes those who believe wisdom alone will save them. It rewards those who can stay steady while everyone else drowns in their own analysis. The edge is not in knowing more. The edge is in executing what you already know, flawlessly. And this is where most traders disappear. Not because they lacked information, but because they drowned in it, mistaking data for discipline, theory for strength, and noise for truth. Losses never begin as disasters. They start small, a few ticks, a dip, a hesitation, easy to close, easy to control. But instead of acting, the trader waits. They rationalize, they hope, and the loss grows teeth. Every second of delay turns a trade into a trap. The mind whispers excuses. It's just noise. It will bounce. The news will fix it. But deep down, the trader knows. They just can't bring themselves to admit it. Closing means facing failure. Holding means pretending it isn't real. This is how small losses become identity crises. The red numbers on the screen aren't just numbers anymore. They feel personal. The account bleeds, but so does the ego. And instead of cutting free, the trader chains themselves to a sinking position. I've lived that moment. I've told myself the same lies. I've watched weeks of gains dissolve in a single stubborn trade. And the worst part wasn't the money. It was knowing the market hadn't beaten me. I had beaten myself. The cycle is merciless. Denial breeds delay. Delay breeds disaster. And the only way to break it is brutal clarity. Accept the loss while it's still small. Because if you can't take a small loss now, you will take a massive one later. That rule never changes. Most traders believe they must always be in motion. If they're not in a trade, they feel like they're falling behind. But the truth is harsher. The constant need for action is one of the most expensive addictions in this game. Patience feels like doing nothing. But in trading, it's one of the hardest disciplines to master. To sit and wait while the market moves without you takes more strength than jumping in blindly. Silence is uncomfortable. Stillness feels unproductive. Yet these are the exact conditions where clarity grows. I learned to sit on my hands, to let setups pass if they didn't align perfectly, to watch others chase noise while I protected my capital. At first it felt like weakness. In time, it became my strongest weapon. Some of the greatest profits don't come from dozens of trades. They come from a few, entered with conviction after long stretches of waiting. Those trades are cleaner, sharper, and worth more than 100 guesses. And the patience to find them is what separates amateurs from survivors. The market doesn't pay you for movement. It pays you for accuracy, and accuracy takes time. Waiting is not falling behind. It's preparing for the moment when the wind finally turns in your favor. Traders love to see the market as an enemy. They imagine it plotting against them, waiting to take their money. But the truth is sharper. The market doesn't even know you exist. It reflects what you bring to it. Nothing more, nothing less. Bring discipline, and it rewards you with survival. Bring recklessness, and it shows you the cost instantly. The market is not cruel. It is consistent. Every habit, every impulse, every blind spot is amplified in its mirror until you're forced to face it. This is why so many fail. They think the market is against them, when in reality, it's only reflecting what they refuse to fix in themselves. The losses aren't punishment. They're proof. Proof of undisciplined risk, of ignored rules, of emotions left unchecked. But here's the other side. Once you understand this reflection, the game changes. Losses stop feeling like betrayal. They become information. Wins stop feeling like validation. They become confirmation of process. The market doesn't demand perfection. It demands honesty. And if you can look in its mirror without flinching, you'll see that your biggest opponent was never out there. It was always you. Most traders fail, not because the market is unbeatable, but because they refuse to face themselves. They chase noise, ignore discipline, and let emotion lead. And when the losses mount, they blame everything but the habits staring back at them in the mirror. But survival in this game has never been a mystery. It doesn't belong to the boldest or the smartest. It belongs to the disciplined. To those who cut losses fast, let winners breathe, manage risk with precision, and wait for clarity instead of chasing chaos. These are not secrets. They are timeless principles. The market is not out to destroy you. It is out to reveal you. If you enter with arrogance, it shows you humility. If you enter with weakness, it shows you pain. But if you enter with structure, patience, and control, it shows you possibility. This is the line that separates the 90% who disappear from the few who endure. And now you've seen it clearly. The choice is yours. Keep trading on impulse and join the many, or build discipline and survive long enough to join the few. If these words hit you at the right time, let them stay with you.